want to scare you, but I'm an adventure sphere.
I'm just running one of these basic Promatic 2 Hurst shifters. It's a whole kit, comes with everything you need. Even comes with the linkages to hook up to your tranny. There it is. Whole thing goes like that. You can see the holes line up, obviously, blah 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 blah. And that's that. Check out this ghetto setup. It's my drill press. And here I have my tranny tunnel, and I needed to drill a 1.5 inch hole for a grommet for my shifter cable. And what I did to keep this kind of in shape without messing up is I have this big 8 inch or 9 inch, whatever this is, PVC pipe. And I clamped my sheet metal tunnel to it using some vice grips. And then I have a dead man here on a wheel, just a homemade dead man, which is sitting on top of part of the drill press base. And then I had to space up this side because of the way it lined up with the head. And then, without, when I pressed this down with this dead man like this, obviously just wanted to tip. So I had to take some pieces of wood and kind of stack them up together. Anyways, worked out great. No distortion at all. It was easy. Didn't cut up my hands trying to hold it by hand. Because some of these, when you're drilling hole saws on sheet metal, they can get away from you. They can slice you up pretty good if you're not careful. So there I have my hole. And that's kind of why I have this PVC pipe, because you can bend stuff over it, clamp stuff to it like this, whatever. Kind of worked out good. So today I hooked up the shifter linkage. You can see that down in there, that linkage. And the bracket, obviously the cable that goes up around the front and then back. This hooks in here, pretty basic I guess. Today is actually my 24th birthday, and I am down here working on my damn car. And one thing I wanted to mention, since I've been drilling tons and tons of holes, probably, I don't know, 500, 600 holes with all these rivets and whatnot on the floor. I actually ended up getting a drill doctor finally. This is obviously used for sharpening drill bits. I haven't used it yet, but it's gonna be nice for the next floor. Instead of using old drill bits, it'll save me a lot of time. Alright, so today I finally got this pump. This is actually a compressor, and this is a power steering pump. It attaches to the regular 12 valve case, but this has been an 8-month search for this part. I ended up ordering this from the UK, and it just got here today. Most of the other compressors are about twice this long, and a lot of them are 2 cylinders. 1 cylinder would be sufficient for what I need. But even the 1-cylinder ones had a big extension on the front here, or a big extension on the back, so I actually couldn't get it to fit with this stock motor mount. Got a light here, just a second. So I couldn't get the other pumps to fit with this stock motor mount. You can see there's about an inch of room there. But finally, I figured this out, like I said, 8 months later. Then back in there you can see there's the oil feed line that's teed up to the P-pump, and then it'll go down to the compressor right there, obviously. So you can see here's my power steering box, obviously. So what I need to add now is a tank. Now, a normal tank, like this one, which I got from the junkyard here. It's just a normal tank off a small car. This is only about a quart. Now I need something a little bit bigger than this, and I don't really like this plastic look, but I had this sitting around, so I figured it was a good display. But I'm going to make a tank, because you have to have a tank, obviously, between your power steering pump and your steering box. Well, I found this sweet little part, or a little old oil spray tank. You can see there's the tank of it, and here's the actual sprayer part of it. And now right now I'm going to clean this out, and I'm actually going to use this for a reservoir. I'm cleaning it out. I started first with just this Amsoil Power Foam regular carb cleaner type deal, because it foams up and it kind of fills in all the cracks and stuff to clean it out. And then once that sits, I'm just going to use a regular heavy duty degreaser. This is kind of like almost like a carb cleaner, sort of. I don't know why, but I feel goofy right now. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Maybe it's the fumes or something. I don't know. Anyways, I thought it was kind of a cool idea for a power steering pump reservoir. So this tank goes like this. This cap thread's on, it's not threaded on. But this works as a suction, so there's actually a little hole all the way through this pipe. And when you squeeze that trigger, it pumps air through it, and it's like a vacuum pump. So it sucks the oil out of the can. Now, here's that unassembled. Obviously, it's pretty simple. So here I have made a mounting plate for this power steering setup. You can see I just welded some bolts onto the bottom of this tank, and then I also welded and then JB welded around these fittings so I can hook up all my lines. The return fitting is smaller than the feed fitting. As you can see, this goes in there like that. Mounts like that. And then if you remember, here is the sprayer for this. Now, this sprayer actually had a welded on piece here, but what I did was I cut it off and I took a long 1/4-20 rod, or not that long, but what, 4 or 5 inches, and I actually took a couple nuts, and now it still spins. So you can see this still spins, which allows me to open and close this cap while the power steering tank is still hooked up. So I can put this tank on, or this cover on, spin it closed, and then I can lock this nut up against the cap here. Okay, so that's that. Just bolts underneath here through these studs, 2 1/4-20 bolts, well enough, holds it well enough, and then the lines obviously come from the power steering pump and whatnot. So that's kind of a nice little setup there. And then once I actually get this ran and I can kind of see where the levels are at, I can actually just take this threaded rod and I can either weld a nut or a washer onto where the level needs to be, or I can just take a simple cutoff wheel and cut a groove into where the hot and the cold needs to be on this. So that'll work out pretty nice. And then I added a little bit of patina to this, nothing too crazy, but I wanted it a little bit darker, so I repainted it. So that's cool. That works out well. So I had my buddy that works at a small engine shop grab me these 2 filters based on what I just found online for measurements, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but I also thought about maybe using a regular paint can because it has smooth edges, smooth sides, versus a like I say, a tomato soup can has the ridges. You can see the ridges below the paper there, or obviously you can see the ridges on the inside here. So I'm actually going to take this and empty it out. It's pretty much almost gone anyways. And I'm going to puncture it safely. Hopefully, safely. I don't recommend this at home. Anyways, right now I'm just cleaning out all the old paint and shit. Nitrous Express. And by the way, I'm just using this old box because I don't know what else am I going to paint. It's going to go in the garbage anyways. I can still hear it fizzing, so. Oh, Jesus. I noticed I got that bag over that in case it happens to kind of blow up. It might save some paint mess. Simple. What the hell? Screw you, OSHA. Now it's got a hole in it so I can cut it up, and hopefully the paint inside don't start on fire. I guess we'll find out. So I cut off the lid with the just cut off wheel. And now if anyone ever wanted to see inside a paint can, there it is. Just a regular wall. And then I'm gonna try and dump this in the garbage, but maybe you can see the ball come out. Oh, I didn't even see that come out. Oh, it's right there. Oh, it's gone. Anyways, it's smaller than the size of a marble. I've always kind of wondered, those things feel kind of big in there, but they're not, I guess. So now I'm gonna take some either some paint thinner or just some Amsoil degreaser shit that I got here to clean this up quick, and then I can start working with this. So I actually ditched the whole paint can idea just because this paint can is just a little bit too tight for comfort on this. I wanted the funnel to be able to be the breather, but if you have the funnel go in like that, it's not going to hit anything, and this is a tight fit, so it's not really going to get around it. So instead, I elected to take some charge pipe I had sitting around. This is actually from that pipe there when I shortened it. And you can see this one fits over much easier. There's plenty of room there for air to go through. And then what I did was I took a hole saw and I made a donut basically. Fits over that like that. And then this actually goes in between here sandwiched. So that's what holds on this cover. Now, I'm gonna have to weld this, tack it up, and then I can start building the head of the Tinman, which will be the air box for the air filter. Pretty nifty. So this may sound kind of dumb, but this is actually a funnel my sister bought before she passed away. I used to always nag on her about checking the oil in her car, so she bought a funnel to actually put in her car to fill up with oil. So I am actually going to use this for a Tinman head because it's the right size for this pipe, so I still get airflow inside. So right now what I'm doing is just drilling some holes to use some 1/4-inch bolts to kind of mount it onto this basically. Just thought that was kind of neat. So you can clearly see here, for most of you probably already know, but this is a P pump, P7100 injection pump, and it mounts to the front case on this engine, which is aluminum. But the stock application actually has another bracket that I believe mounts in these holes on this P pump. You can see there's this sleeve here, and there's one on the other side. So I actually made a bracket that bolts to the motor mount and those two threaded holes in the block there. And it all bolts together and holds this in place for extra support, because obviously you don't want that torsional load on this aluminum front cover entirely. It also weighs about 40 pounds, so that's kind of heavy when you're way out here. And then I also made an attachment that bolts from that bracket to this compressor, and I painted the compressor. Here's the bracket that I made. Just used, this bottom piece here was actually a bracket that came with one of my other compressors. You can see the holes are actually pretty close. I had to remount that hole. It was completely for a different application. It wasn't even for this engine, but you can see it kind of actually worked out pretty well. I cut that out. It was originally straight. And then I made this piece here just out of some 7 gauge. And then it bolts up to those holes that I mentioned, those sleeves on the engine. Gusset there, gusset in the back. Nothing crazy, but it'll work good. I got it painted flat black now, and then I'm just going to use some of this Port 15 top coat. You don't even have to paint it first, but I'm using this stuff because I think it's going to be pretty durable. I want to see how this compares to regular engine enamel. I have regular engine enamel on this compressor here, so I'm gonna see. They're in similar spots, so I'm gonna see which one lasts longer. I'm kind of curious. What am I doing with these fittings on my valve covers? Better watch the next episode. Subscribe. Tinman 2 Customs out. Got some more nitrous goodies that I'm really excited about. I'm gonna show you kind of what I got here. Now, I originally started, I had two 15-pound bottles, but they were slightly too big for my application. Now they stuck up above my roll cage, about a ½ inch, so I didn't want that. These are all from Nitrous Express. They've been really helpful as far as tech support and whatnot with this build. So I've been really loyal to ordering all their stuff. But now let's see what I got in here. This is some shirts that I ordered. I'm not going to show you guys those right now. And here are some roll cage brackets. Now these are for a 1 3/4 inch roll cage. They're billet aluminum. Got 4 of those. Obviously you need 2 per bottle. Here's an adapter fitting that I needed. And then here is some Ys that I also needed so that I can hook these tanks together and run both tanks. Now in here, these are custom lines that I had made to my length that I need. I think it's 52 and 36 or something like that. Now in these boxes, just the bottles, they have the valves already on them. It should be a Lightning 45 or Lightning 50, I can't remember, or Lightning 500 I mean. Now these are the bottles. They have a Lightning 500 valve with, I believe, 6 AN output fittings. Now I'm sure most of you understand that I'm not really building the average rat rod. I've been using all the best components I can get pretty much, and then trying to save money where I can. Now I elected to go with the billet aluminum brackets just because they're significantly easier than trying to make my own. And these actually do not fit on the regular bottle clamps when they come stock. So what I had to do was I actually took these clamps and I narrowed them so that these would actually fit. So I can actually use this original clamp, which saves me money so I don't have to buy the actual billet setup. You can see this goes through, obviously the bolts go through, whatnot. Otherwise you usually have to have a big billet setup because the bolt holes don't line up because this is originally wider, long story short. So that's a good way to save some money. If you got some fab knowledge, just do that quick. That's why I elected to do that. These are really nice clamps. They'll save me a lot of time versus making the clamps themselves, but then I also save some money by doing it this way. So efficiency and using the good parts, that's really what you got to try to balance here.